open up the meeting. Welcome everybody to this February 10th planning meeting of the City of Parker. Terry, would you mind giving the invocation, please? Thank you.
Our Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day you've given us and for this life you've given us. We thank you for your Son. We praise these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Do you mind leading the pledge?
Absolutely. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Ann. Thank you, Terry. Good. Madam Clerk, will you do our roll call, please?
Mr. Hall, Mr. Merritt, Mrs. Paulrang,
Here.
Mr. Stryker,
Here.
Chairman Rega.
Here, thank you. And we have a quorum, so we are a legal meeting, so we'll figure out what's going on with these other fellows here at a different time. Let's see. First of all, Terry, thank you very much for driving the gavel last month. I really
I like
appreciate
the
that.
I like
We had a
playing
nice
with it.
vacation, and it was nice knowing that somebody who knew what we were doing was actually sitting in for us here. So thank you for that. And ladies and gentlemen,
Be
thank
careful
you
with
for
that.
being interested in what we do here in the city of Parker. Today, we really only we have a light agenda, so that's very nice for all of us. But we are, Tony has asked us to look into a couple of things, namely in regards to food trucks, as well as, oh, very good, thank you.
Do I,
Let's go ahead and,
Mr.
yeah,
Do you want to say that he's present?
absolutely. Say what now?
Just for the record, Mr. Hall is present.
Mr. Hall is present, thank you very much, and will participate in the rest of this meeting, thank you. Anyway, so we had two items that planning was asked to look into. One of them had to do with the regulation of mobile food trucks, and then the other one had to do with rules for things that are currently de minimis, but we'll have that discussion after we get to, that'll be the last two things that we handle on the agenda. At this time, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and ask anybody in the audience that might want to come and address the planning commissioners about anything that that's currently not on the agenda. All right, very good. So we'll get right to the agenda. All right, so the first thing we have here is an application for a partial split. I think the corporation is called Amber Radar Inc. Sir, if you don't mind coming to the podium. Mr. Kanishi? Am I pronouncing that right?
Kalechi.
Kalichi.
Right.
Well, thanks, Kalichi. All right, sir, do you mind just giving us sort of a summary about what it is that you'd like to do?
Thank you for the opportunity.
Yes.
We have a property that, total, the lot, the square foot is 1.36 acres.
Mm-hmm.
It has one property sitting on it, one side of it, that's just maybe about approximately 1,900 square foot. And then we have the rest of the lot, the better part of the lot that doesn't have a pond or water or something, just pretty much vacant. So we wanted to do a lot split to, the new lot would be about over 1,500 square foot, 15,000 square foot, probably about 15,300 square foot.
It's going to be about a third of an acre, yes, sir.
Yes,
Yeah.
about that. And that's the better part of the lot. And it's a corner lot at the corner of Hickory and 11th Street. So that's what we wanted to do. And if we had that new lot, then the address would be on the 11th Street. We wanted to now make the existing property to now be on Hickory Street instead.
Very good. Do any of the commissioners have any discussions for Mr. Kalichi?
I've driven by it. So it looks like you want to create 1507 facing 11th, but the
Yes.
actual dwelling that is there that you currently access from 11th, you want to make now accessible from Hickory.
And that's the irony, that the property there, although the address is 11th Street 5077, but the access
Yes.
is actually on Hickory.
Yes, and my home is situated similarly, but where is the mailbox? Where does the house face? It's on, that's on 11th,
I
isn't it?
I
Or no?
think if there's one, probably around there. If you know, if there's one, yeah. But there's no driveway there, so
Okay,
there's no driveway on 11th Street. So if the mailbox is there, then you probably will have to walk probably 2 minutes, well, a minute or two.
do you not receive any mail now?
No,
None at all?
no, not at all.
There's no mailbox? Okay, I thought I remembered seeing one on 11th, okay,
If there's one, there's no, we're not receiving anything because it's not active.
okay. So you're splitting, what you're splitting off would now be a vacant 3rd-acre lot
Yes.
on 11th?
Right.
Okay.
For possibly new construction, yes.
Yeah, Mr. Caliche, it does look like you've got a circular drive already that faces Hickory Street, right?
Yes.
Yeah, very good.
So we
So-
now wanted that place to be the front of that property since
Yes.
the driveway is there. And
Very
then,
good.
so the address of that lot, we are hoping we'll change it to Hickory.
So you're gonna end up with 2 lots, one of them just shy of an acre, the other one about a third of an acre. One of them would be serviced off of 11th Street, and then one of them would be serviced off of Hickory Street. And the homes directly to the east, to the east of you, those all access Hickory Street as well. So there's utilities coming off of that street and everything. Okay, very good. And does Amber Radar Inc., do they own the property outright?
Yes.
They do, so there's no mortgage on it?
No,
And
nothing.
the reason for the question is the state requires that it's not that if you did have a mortgage on it, you couldn't split it, but the mortgage holder, it needs to be alerted and approves of it, so you own it outright?
Yes.
Any outstanding taxes on the property?
Absolutely none.
Because the state also, the county actually requires that all current taxes be paid up to date. So it looks like, there's, all the minimums are met. We're gonna end up with a 3rd-acre lot and a 1-acre lot, well above, the standard. This is low-density residential area. If he wanted to, he could actually put more properties, on it if he wanted to, but it looks like it's just gonna be divided into 2. So pretty healthy, decent-sized, healthy lots.
There is a question about a pond or something on the property.
It's in the back, it's back here,
Mhm.
but believe it or not, it's, in terms of your overall property, ponds and even wetlands are still considered as part of the total land mass for,
Okay.
now, it may not be buildable, but he's already got a property on it.
Right.
And it looks to me like he's gonna have what will be, the property line, he's gonna be 13 feet and 11 feet off, and if it's a side property line, we only require 7. So he's well beyond that.
Now, this question's for my edification.
Sure, please.
How does he get the address switched from 11th Street to Hickory Street?
Well, what'll happen is when he actually goes to Bill Kinzel's, clerk of courts, what'll happen is they will end up with 2 different parcel numbers. And he will have to inform them that this parcel number, and it may not be the one that's currently there. Sometimes when you split them, they give you 2 separate two different parcel numbers, not just the one you're splitting off. So he'll get a new parcel number, and then what'll happen is he'll tell them that this one is being accessed off of
And
Hickory.
they changed the address.
And they'll change the address, yeah. And then the other one is gonna be accessed off of 11th Street. Yes, sir. Please.
So the investigation that we've done at the property appraisal is also, you'll notice that the first parcel number will stay the same. They'll change the next 3 digits. And every time you see those digits change, that tells you the original parcel, how many times it was already split.
Very
Oh,
nice.
interesting,
Yeah.
didn't know
So
that.
the parcel number on the front will always stay the same, but when digits behind it change, that's when they tell you how many times it's been moved around. And you can kind of look in the area to see that parcel number, how big that parcel originally was.
Very good.
Cool.
Yeah, you can, and if you go to that, you'll actually see 5 digits and then 3 zeros and then usually another 3 zeros. That means it's not been split. And, a good call out, Tony. I read that sometime in my past and forgotten
Didn't know
about it,
that.
so, yeah, excellent. Good to know. So, Mr. Caliche, any other questions you have for the planning group?
Not really. I understand I'm supposed to also do this with you next week.
Yes, what'll happen is, these commissioners, anytime a property is split or combined or a major project occurs, it goes through planning first. These are the nuts and bolts people that adhere to the rules and know the rules for our municipality. And then we recommend to the council members, who are the actual lawmakers, one way or another. We have three options. We can either deny it, approve it with conditions, or approve it outright. They'll get that information, they'll see that we went through the nuts and bolts of it, and then they'll make their own decision. And then if they agree to it, then ultimately you'll get a letter from our clerk, and then you'll take that to Bill Kinzel's office when you actually when you apply for the different parcel numbers.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm asking for a motion.
I make a motion that we approve this.
Very good. I have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
A second.
I got a first and a second. Madam Clerk, can you take a vote, please?
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Ms. Paulring?
Yes.
Mr. Stryker?
Yes.
Chairman Riga?
Yes. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you improving the city.
One second, sir.
Yes, sir.
So one thing I just need to address, I was asked to give this to you by the code officer. They've been trying to get in touch with you.
I've spoken to him.
Okay, well, you wanna call him again, cause this has been returned to us. So you wanna call him and address this, cause I can't take you to the council until that's addressed.
I got that in the mail, unless he sent me twice. I got it in the mail.
Okay, alright, guys, just have a
I got
talk
it in
into
the
that.
This is John, right?
John.
I spoke to
Okay.
John.
Okay.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Calici. Appreciate it. All right, very good. Is that on that property, Tony?
What's that?
The code violation on that property? Okay, very good.
Something about cutting grass. What am I doing?
Cutting the grass.
Cutting the grass?
Where the pond is, because I didn't want to go that area because of DEP and all that stuff.
Yeah,
So the rest of the lot is cut, especially where the lot space is gonna be.
yeah.
But we stopped short of where the water is, the pond.
Oh, yes.
because we didn't want to go too close. I didn't want to mess with DEP laws. So I think John said that, there's up to 1 foot of height, that area. They
Yeah.
were supposed to cut it.
Well, certain grasses can be tall. Those are gonna be, like your decorative grasses, like your different sand grasses and different things. But if it's normal grass that's just out of control, then you gotta help your neighbors out.
Yeah, there are some that kind of tend to shoot.
Yeah,
Sorry, there are some that
yeah.
tend to shoot really high.
If you'd attend to that, we'd sure appreciate it. And as Tony said, before they can take it to the lawmakers, apparently that's gotta be addressed. So if you'll
Yes,
get on that, that would be
I
great.
did
Thank you,
see
sir.
it
But you got an approval for this, from this group, so thank you. All right. So Tony, any chance you can come to the podium here? So one of the things that Tony had asked us to look into, what do you wanna discuss first?
You go ahead, you
De
lead.
minimis or food trucks? Food trucks is gonna be easy.
Okay.
You wanna go there first? Okay, so, in 2024, Florida had a special meeting, and then they, updated that in 2025. It's in, section 509-102, that's that paperwork that I had given you. And, the commissioners all, oh, Rich, I'm sorry. Here. There you go, there's that.
I've done some research on that.
Oh, cool, very good. All right, so what the state has essentially said is this, I'll just read it so that there's no improper interpretation of it. So the regulation of mobile food dispensing vehicles, which is what they call them, and temporary commercial kitchens involving licenses, registrations, permits, and fees is preempted to the state, okay? That's 2A, by the way, guys, in case, a municipality, county, or other local government entity may not require a separate license, registration, or permit other than the license required under 509-241, which you have copies of, 509-241, or 509-251, okay? So essentially what 509-241 is that is about getting the operating license, how to maintain it, how to display it, and conditions for keeping it. I'll just break it down. That's, when you look into it, that's really what it is. Those 4 or 5 things. Getting it in the first place, how to maintain it, how to display it, and then the conditions for keeping it. In other words, there's penalties if you lose it, okay? And then 509-251, what that is just about licensing fees, and that's how the fees are established, how to renew them, reasons that the state may rescind the license, okay? That's really all that is. So ultimately, what they tell us is that a municipality, county, or other local government entity may not prohibit mobile food dispensing vehicles or temporary commercial kitchens from operating with the entirety of the entity's jurisdiction. And when you read a little bit deeper into it, what you find out is that you do that, you can do that, but you have to do it through your comprehensive plan, through your zoning laws. So for example, let's say that in residential areas you don't want food trucks to operate. That's where you put that information, okay? So, however, in every other area, whether it's commercial, MU1, MU2, or municipalities, any of those things, essentially what you can do is you can limit time that they're operating, proximity, but you have to do it through the comprehensive plan. Otherwise, it's the state's baby under this 509. And ultimately, Tony, I know you were looking for specific things because we have that big food truck.
Well, it's not just that, we're dealing with one that is in residential
Yes,
that we're trying to address.
okay,
We're dealing with, I mean, I think Mr. Merritt mentioned that we're also dealing with the storage of food trucks,
yes,
where they're putting in when they bring them home in their front, you know, where they need to be behind the yard or disclosed at. Also, we need to look at, kind of like either times or the amounts of on one parcel.
Well, that you can't, because it's already, that's under 3A. So ultimately, under 3A, they essentially say that they can be there for 30 days and then they can get extensions for
Well,
that.
I understand that, but I'm talking about how many. You see what I'm saying? When does it comes per, you know, like we do, you know, lot size gotta be 5,000 square foot, you know, how many can we allow or do we allow on a partial?
Essentially, what they're telling us is that we
Nothing.
we can't do that. Now,
Even on a residential parcel?
well, you do that through your districts. In your districts, you can go in and say that we do not allow food trucks in
So
residential
it'll be a
districts.
prohibited use.
Yeah, they're telling us that, and they actually, they make this one statement by saying from the operating within the entirety of the entity's jurisdiction, but then they come to another paragraph where they specifically say that municipalities can regulate, but through your comprehensive plan, through your districting, okay?
So kind of what I'm asking is like, so by nothing that we have regulated, we wanted 20 food trucks all the way downtown the Parkway. There's nothing that prevents the city from allowing that to happen.
Apparently not.
Yeah.
And there's nothing that regulates the condition or unless we go back to the eyesore.
You're talking about operating or just being parked?
Well, I'm just talking about operating and being looked at. You know, we don't want to have a bunch of just
Right.
run down the corridor of all this to come. I mean, you can drive through Panama City and some of the areas that have all these is not, you know, some of them are nice, but some of them are, you know, so the regulations are real.
When,
Well, they have to pass the health inspection.
that's,
Yeah,
they do.
okay, when does the health inspection come along and,
Well, and that's the other question is, you know, we don't do the licensing check or the anything, so that would be the health department and, you know, you're here today, gone tomorrow. Or
Yeah.
gone in a couple hours.
Because it is the state that regulates that, that's gonna be under 509-241. That's, you know, it talks about, you know, the state ultimately can refuse to issue a license or renew a license, you know, if within the preceding 5 years has been adjudicated guilty of or has forfeited a bond when charged with any crime reflecting unprofessional character, including solicitation of different things. I mean, they're ultimately, they lay out the reasons why you would essentially lose your license there. Essentially what the state though is saying is that we can't say in the city of Parker, we're only gonna allow 20 food trucks. They've been pretty clear about that. What we can say is where they can operate, for example, let's say a restaurant is, you know, they come to Donna every year and they re-up their annual business license. We can say, we don't want a food truck interfering with that business, so you can't ultimately be within so many feet of that particular fixed restaurant. We can make those rules,
Okay, 'cause-
okay? But we
I just read in
can't-
here where it says they can be though, but
Well, they
we
can.
can make a rule that.
They can if they have like a commissary agreement,
Okay.
because food trucks are kind of unique. I mean,
Yeah,
the state.
it's a whole different thing. I said, I'm
Yeah.
not against them. I like them. I wish we had more of them here, but
Yeah.
I just want to know what we're gonna, before it
Yeah.
takes off.
Oh yeah, I get it, and probably one of the most the prominent reasons why food trucks spurred up all over the place is like incident like Mexico, Mexico Beach, where all the restaurants got wiped away, and then they were thankful to have food trucks move in order to kind of feed the workers and the builders and all those guys. And Kim and I just drove through Mexico Beach last weekend, and they don't have a problem. I mean,
Well, I think don't quote me on this, but I think they're working on something
similar.
in their city too.
Really,
Yeah.
because we drove through, and you might see in all that entire strip, you might see 5, 6 food trucks, and believe me, they're probably appreciated. Yeah. But anyway, the key message is that the state pretty much holds most of the regulation. And what they're essentially saying is that if you want to regulate it, you can, but you have to do it through your district, and saying that they're not allowed in this, but like your low density residential areas. Or you can specifically say, I don't want them operating near a fixed restaurant, and likely they probably wouldn't anyway, because they can't just pull into your driveway and open up their doors.
Right.
I mean, you're gonna own the driveway right there. So they do have to get permission in order to come to like different parks or different events. And in fact, a city, a municipality can say, okay, we're gonna hold an event, and 4th of July event or something like that. We'd like to employ 5 or 6 food trucks, and what you can do is have them provide like an entrance fee in order to operate on that day, and then you can direct how long they can be there. And you can say things like, you have to close down at 10 o'clock, and you can say things like, I want my fire department to go ahead and inspect you because I see those big propane tanks on there. You do have that flexibility.
Because you're the property
The city, yeah,
Yeah.
well, the
Right.
city would be doing
owner.
that.
City is the
Yeah.
property owner.
Right.
Yeah, but even if they're gonna operate in Parker, you can set up a rule that says, I want the Parker, department, the fire department, to inspect that particular, food truck to make sure that it doesn't represent any kind of a liability, or safety issue for them. Anyway, so that's just for your reading, and I didn't intend for this to be, for us to come up with the solutions for how we're gonna regulate them, but just be aware of what the restrictions are, and then we can actually put together some recommendations to Tony.
Don't get our mind that we don't have a whole lot of recourse over.
Well, I think what happened was, if you go into other material, I think municipalities got crazy, and they started regulating
Started trying
industries.
to charge fees and licensing and all
Yeah.
that. That's
Right.
when the state pulled it away.
And, my heart is more in a conservative. I think the less government
Yeah.
intrusion,
Yeah.
perhaps the better. And then when somebody gets out of line and you have a problem, then you fix the problem.
Yeah.
But like I say, lawmakers get to Washington DC, and they double the size of the Federal Register. There are laws in the book. I guarantee you, when you drive out of this driveway and drive home, you'll probably commit 3 or 4 infractions that you don't even know about.
Yeah.
Because when they get there, they think their job is to make new laws, and that's silly. We shouldn't be doing that. So anyway, just read through that, and then what we'll do is, so Tony, is there anything you want us to focus on in terms of what you'd like us to?
Well, the biggest one was making sure we probably need to see about, in the comp, doing the prohibited and residential.
Okay.
And then I know Mr. Merritt brought up about storage of those, so we might wanna address where our food trucks put up at.
And then storage of it?
Now, is the same, can they store in their personal lot, much like you would a RV or a boat?
Well, I
as
think
long
what
as
he
it's
was
not in front
more
of your
thing
house?
is these people that are independent food trucks, they just drive them home and you gotta come home every day and look at it in the driveway. I think that's what he was, that, it needs to be in the backyard, or it needs to be,
Got it.
left on the parcel where you're vending at or something.
Got it.
And I don't think that's an issue because quite frankly, you know, for sheds, for example, right now we say you can't put a shed in your front yard. Put it in your side yard, in your backyard. And that's, you know, to kind of help the beautification of the neighborhood. And I don't see any restrictions here in that 509-102 that would prevent us from saying something like that.
Yeah, because it's not an operation usually at that time.
But residential restrictions and then where they're stored. Anything else we should focus on?
So I don't think we can address, you know, setbacks or spacing or, you know.
Yeah. See, the language is pretty specific. It's operation within the entirety of the entity's jurisdiction. Operation is not parking it.
Right.
Operation is while it's actually conducting business. So we do have some flexibility there. They must have a strong lobby, though.
Sure.
From the nose at any city, it's like, well, the state said I can do what I want.
Well, yeah, and sometimes like, the state goes the opposite direction. All right, very good.
Okay.
So we'll focus on those two things: residential restrictions and where to store them when they're parked, right?
Yep.
Okay, very good, very good. Okay, and then the next thing on the agenda was we currently have some items that are within the land development rules that are considered de minimis. They are structures that are less than 120 square foot in size. They're actually not de minimis, however. They still have to be 5 foot off the property line. They still have to meet a certain setback. They still have to be 120 square feet or smaller. The where of it is controlled. For example, you can't put them in your front yard. Has to be in the side yard or a rear yard. And Tony had asked us to look into, see if I can remember this. So when a structure of 120 square feet or smaller is being constructed, not a license that you would pay for, but sort of an inspection protocol to
Site
make
plan
sure that it's
approval.
appropriate. Is
Yeah.
that right?
Yeah, just like
Okay.
a site plan approval, just come out and fill out a site plan and you wanna, you know, then we just basically let you know if you're over impervious or, you know, inform you of your setbacks, stuff like that, just to make sure that someone don't slide in their 5th shed.
Okay. So we wouldn't send anybody to their house.
Most of it'll be just a desktop review.
Okay, so really, we would ask them to essentially draw a picture where you want to put this thing, and then just have the city take a look at it.
Yeah, like I said, we've had 1 or 2 come in through since then, and like I said, it's been no fee, it's just been, look at it, you're good to go.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
And I'd be okay with that entirely, but mission creep sometimes happen, and we may say, hey, that sounds good, but then 3 years from now, somebody says, okay, we're actually looking at this, why don't we charge $50 for this, and then $100. So maybe we could put that in, that this is currently a de minimis, so really a site plan approval.
Mhm.
So what would we require of the applicant, that they
Normally
draw a
it's just-
picture?
Yeah, normally you'll just come in and fill out like an accessory structure application with no fee. If
Okay.
it's under, and it'll basically say on the application, the accessory structures right now have a fee. But the accessory structure application would say if it's under 100 square feet, then no fee applies.
And
Then it's just their name, their address, how much square foot they already have on the property, and then when they flip it over, there's just for them to draw where it's at and what they got.
Okay.
When do we inquire about the safety of the structure, i.e. a couple of skids and some sheet metal that in a hurricane is gonna decapitate someone? I mean, are we ever involved in anything like that, or?
Normally, the only time we can get involved that way is if it's a code issue.
Okay.
Most people that are coming in and doing this are new structures. It's not something that they're building.
Right,
They're
it's
just-
a, but I do, yes.
Yeah, portable building company or somebody's just coming and sliding it in.
But if it is just a Home Depot shed kit, we're not too worried
Well,
about
if it's
that.
a Home Depot shed kit, it has to, it's gonna come with certain wind resistance requirements. Because they can't literally sell them at this Home Depot in Florida unless it meets the Florida building codes for sheds.
Yeah, it's gotta be certified.
It'll, generally what there will be, there's a couple of different styles out there now. There's ones with a foundation and ones without.
You can order them on Temu, and I
Ye-
don't know
oh,
if they're
yeah.
worried about the tie downs, that was what they'd be.
Oh, yeah.
So, Okay.
Wonder how long that would take to get her
Yeah.
from, off of a freighter. But,
20-mile-an-hour wind and oops.
yeah, so the ones you buy at Lowe's, Home Depot, any of the building shops, they're gonna have a wind resistance requirement. They're gonna probably have ties and everything, and they're also going to, and that's gonna be required. They can't sell them unless they meet that requirement. Then there's another one, and that is one that they are pre-built that actually go onto a foundation, and then those are bolted down to the concrete. That's Florida Building Code requirements. So, really, it would just be, we're asking them to draw a picture. We're asking them for what their name and address is. We're telling them that if it's under 120 square feet, there's no fee.
Nope.
Would it go through your group then in planning? So it
Yeah,
wouldn't have to go.
we're just gonna look at it like a driveway.
Wouldn't have
We're
to go
gonna-
to, wouldn't
nope.
have to go to council for their approval.
Nope.
Okay, well, that,
Yeah,
I
so
feel
like I
better.
said, normally we should
I feel
be able to
better.
approve them the same day almost. All we'll do is a desktop review, pull it up on GIS, look at it, do the calculations, and if we're good to go, then we'll send them an approval.
All right, very good. Okay.
I think there's
Well-
a couple of properties that have about, there's one that has 12.
Are they violating the impervious laws?
Oh,
though?
absolutely.
They are.
But the problem you have is that some of these that have done this already, you can't see it, so you can't
Yeah.
code it.
Is it extensive? Is that issue, I mean, do we see a lot of those?
I think there's 2 or 3 properties that way.
Yeah.
2 or 3
How many?
properties?
2 or 3.
Now, is there a difference if it's on concrete versus blocks? I was told that if it's on blocks, it doesn't violate the impervious.
No, so we're having a back and forth with a gentleman right now with impervious, and basically, if it's shedding the water, no matter if it's off the ground, if it's a carport, pole barn, whatever, it's considered impervious in the calculations.
I gotcha. Okay.
Carports now, on the carport, so if you've got a roof over, like grass.
Well, that's most people who have those have gravel.
Yeah, yeah.
And then per what we've looked in the thing now, if
Yeah.
the gravel is for vehicle storage,
Yeah.
it's classified as impervious.
Okay,
If you put a boat or a vehicle on that gravel, it's now
Okay.
considered impervious.
okay,
Because
okay.
it's per the LDR, it says that it's for vehicle ratio, whatever.
Yeah.
If it's not landscaped with grass or dirt put back that way, then it's impervious.
Even for gravel, because I thought you get a different R value, so even, in the past, we had always assumed that 40% impervious said if you have 1 acre of land, 40% of it, has to be, if it's, or less of it has to be impervious. But then the R values came out. R values are your values associated with the water seeping into the ground. And the engineering studies I've read shows that as long as you could have a roof over it, and if it's gravel takes on a different R value than like concrete. Concrete's gonna be 100%, it's gonna be 100. Gravel is like, is gonna end up being like something like 0.5 or 0.6. So what you do is, even if you've got a roof over it, if it's a 10 by 10, you take let's say it's 0.5, and you cut that in half, and then you come up with your impervious.
So we've been going back and forth with the attorney and the engineer on this
Yeah.
because we have a property owner that has 90% of his property covered in gravel.
Okay.
And so per the LDR in the thing, it says that if you've built or done something and haven't turned it back into the landscaping condition,
Yeah.
and you have used gravel for vehicle parking or storing, it's considered impervious.
Really? Because I know that when we were approving some years ago this storage facility over here, we were looking at a portion of it being gravel, and we had to look at the R values in order to come up with the appropriate impervious nature of their land. So maybe some of that's changed.
Yeah, like I said, I've challenged both of them, the attorney and the engineer, to find out what our value is of gravel.
Yeah.
And they basically just kept directing me to I've got it on my desk actually, the statute in the LDR that says that if it's
Yeah.
for vehicle parking, it's calculated as impervious.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, very good. So we're essentially gonna interpret 40% impervious as, if it's gravel, it's impervious. Okay, all right, very good. Okay, so.
If it's for vehicle storage, now if it's for flower beds around the house or decoration or whatever, it's a little different. But if you're driving vehicles over it and compacting it and storing and parking under it, then they're considered impervious.
Very good. So, site plan, so draw a picture, name and address. Anything under 120 square feet, we'll ask for it to essentially come to planning for their review, right?
No, it doesn't come to you either.
No,
To
you,
you, yeah.
because you're in charge of
Right.
you're in charge of the planning guy, right?
Yeah.
So, what would you call yourself then?
Well, it'll just have, it'll be the same, all of it's gonna be the same thing, it's just gonna be a planning department review.
Okay, a review. We'll just call it a review.
There you go.
But no lawmakers.
Nope. Yeah, it's just like an accessory structure, where it'll all be
Okay.
done local.
Let me ask for a volunteer then, to go ahead and come up with some loose language that might meet this requirement that could be fit into the, I think it'd be section six of the de minimis, right? Section 6, Article 6. So probably it would go in right after item 1, 2, or 3, where it talks about what is de minimis. Can I ask for a volunteer to come up with the thing? So, these would be the requirement of the applicant to draw a picture of what they intend to do, that we want their name and address and other contact information. If it's less than 120 square feet, and we're talking about anything 120 square feet, so we're talking about we're talking about a concrete deck, we're talking about, an area that you want to gravel, a shed, anything like that, that it would come to Tony's group for review, and that there would be no fee associated with it. Can I ask for a volunteer to put the language together?
Can it be a group thing?
Sure,
Can it be a joint
absolutely.
effort?
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
mean, normally I'd be glad to do it. I'm gonna be kinda out of pocket medically for the next
I'd
3
like to.
weeks or so.
And I'm spread a little thin with my estate assistant.
Yeah, it should be,
You'll take it? Yay!
Okay.
Cool.
And Rich, right down the street
Thank you,
from
Rich. Yeah,
So-
we
very
can
good.
actually
So
send,
am I.
we
On
can
it
actually
together.
send you over, accessory structure application, so you can just see what it calls
Yeah.
for. Only thing really that's gonna change on that is no fee under 120 square feet.
And Rich, I honestly think less is better, because this is de minimis already. I think it might be simple sentences that identify that even though this is de minimis, the city is requiring the following, that we receive, if a structure 120 square feet or smaller is to be put on the property, that it is able to receive review. Tony, what's your actual title?
Public Works Director.
What is it?
Director,
Dir-
Public Works.
Director of
Public
Net-
Works.
Public Works, that it be reviewed through the Public Works Director office for proper setback, impervious nature, and appropriate, in terms of, I think that would be it, right? Draw a picture. Oh, and draw a picture. Draw a picture.
Of all your notes, we're done.
Oh, sure.
Okay.
They're pretty simple.
I got some of them, but I don't have everything you just.
Thank you for
been saying, so.
volunteering that. Okay, very good. All right, Tony, anything else?
So,
Think of that.
the two items I was gonna bring you, because we still need to talk about the, possibly setting a minimum structure requirement for residential, the square footage of a home. Cause tiny home, we couldn't find anything that's, you can't have a tiny home, but there's nothing that says your house has to be.
State law, Florida state law dictates a tiny home is 400 square feet and smaller.
Right. But what I'm saying is, do we wanna set anything that your house must be 600 square feet, or are you okay with 500 square foot homes being a residential lot with no restrictions? Cause we have some lots that have 2,000 square foot homes, and if someone buys that lot and they come in and put a 500 square foot home on it, what's that gonna do to, I don't know if you wanna regulate it by residential or MU, or y'all wanna address it at all, but, we just had one house come in that was 950 square feet, which is going to be the smallest house in that neighborhood.
I know it's Fannie, Freddie, and Drew, and I was just pulling up FHA or not. They reference manufactured homes having to be at least 400 and qualified. So, stick built, I don't have a number of reference yet, but I recall it was somewhere around 700.
I guess I just don't know if you wanna put a number in
And they're specifically asking what's the smallest home I could build? Really?
Because it's
A
a
lot
very,
of them try
there's
to
some,
see how many they can get on a lot.
Well, we know if it's residential, it's no more than 5 per acre. And we know if it's MU1, we regulate that through districting. And if it's MU1, it's no more than 15 dwellings per acre. And that's usually gonna be like an apartment complex or a duplex or something.
For whatever it's worth, I am finding that, while Fannie Mae has a low number, most lenders have what's called an overlay. So depending on whether it's Bank of America, Wells Fargo, they may not do a mortgage for less than 700. So you can build it as small as you want, but unless you got cash buyers, you handicap yourself for future sales. So we could follow the guidelines.
no, that's what
which
I said,
then
I'm just-
allows for sale. for
Yeah, I'm just
future
looking at
sales.
y'all to give me some, try to
Yeah.
get some guidance in that book, just so it's easier to see, tell people that you gotta have a 700 square foot home minimum.
You can make reference to traditional mortgage guidelines as your default,
Yeah.
rather than if you wanted to put a specific number out there, or you could say,
So these
shall
feet-
not be less than whatever the current guidelines or mortgage standards are. I mean, it's just an idea.
Yeah.
I know it's
I'm
an
away
issue.
from it.
So that's a really good pathway.
There's one under there that I just
He
can't,
didn't.
I think it might be, yeah,
Okay.
I just think
but it was way up under.
okay.
So we want to think about would we do this in every area of the city or just
Well,
low
no, I think
density
we just address
residential?
it mainly in residential.
Yeah, low density
You know, 'cause
residential.
MU and all that, however they wanna do, I think it's just mainly residential that you wanna just maybe give me a number.
Yeah,
And you don't want them to go where they have big lots like Donaldson Point, and build a 600 square foot house,
yeah, yeah.
Well,
you know?
they,
Well,
they handicap themselves because here's another thing
Yes,
you
sir.
may not realize. You can have a very small home on a very pricey lot. Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, mortgage entities also have a land to value. There must be 65% of the value in the dwelling, not the dirt. You can have a shack that's got a great waterfront view. Fannie Freddie won't touch it.
Really?
So 65% of the value has to be in the building. That's where square footage comes in.
But
Really good
if you're a
input.
cash person and you own your lot, you can just build what you want.
Correct, but as long as you don't ever intend to sell it,
Correct.
at least to somebody that might need financing. So
Is-
again, I
Is
agree.
is the concern that first of all, what's your comment, please?
I know my experience with homeowners associations, where they mandate you have to have minimum square footage built to keep up the rest of the neighborhood and so
Mhm.
forth. I know the city doesn't necessarily wanna get into that realm, but if there's a subdivision, and currently the average square footage of the existing houses is 1,500 square feet, can you designate that subdivision, maintain a 1,500 square foot for that area? Maybe this area is an 800 square foot area.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It
I'm
may
just,
be in the deed.
yeah.
just kind of putting it out there. I know the city's not in the neighborhood association business, but if I've got a house that's 2,000 square feet, I'd be pretty upset if somebody gets the okey doke to build an 800 square foot next door to me, because I want to keep my property value up as much as possible. And so,
Yeah.
then again, I don't want to be in a neighborhood association, because I've dealt with them before too.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
just-
Appraisers will make adjustments to value if a 2,500 square foot house next door to an 1,800 square foot house sells, and they have near identical amenities, but there's just everything smaller. Appraisers will make adjustments to value for that if that particular property is a comparable for a sale. There's usually a timeline, so it's not forever a comparable. It's usually within 6 months of the one being appraised.
But if you've mentioned two considerably larger houses
Oh, yeah.
than 800 or 900 square feet, if both those homeowners have an 800 square house built next door to them, they're not gonna be happy.
Understood.
Why don't we do this? The state of Florida has come up with, they had special session both in 2025 and early 2026 on personal property rights. So let's say you go buy a piece of property, okay, and you buy a half acre of land. the state has seen what they call promissory estoppel lawsuits, which, if you don't know what that is, essentially, if I buy a parcel of land and I anticipate that it would be appropriate for me to build a 650 square foot home, but then a municipality says, no, you have to build an 800 square foot home, they're being sued. And the municipalities are losing those lawsuits because of promissory estoppel. What it essentially is if you think that it's an appropriate thing to do, to be able to build a home on an open lot, and then you've invested the money, and then all of a sudden you're told no because of some law that is put out there, you could, and there are perhaps other homes that are nearby that are of the same size you wanted to build, then they have a pretty good suit on their hands. So why don't we do this? Why don't we explore the rules around personal property rights first to make sure we're not violating any state laws, okay? And then what we'll do is come back with a recommendation, because it might be like a percentage of the neighborhood rather than an actual size. Rather than come back and say, Tony, make it 700 or 800 or whatever, it might be 20% small. It can't be any smaller than 20% of the smallest home in a given subdivision. So if you've got one that's already 1,000 square feet, can't be any smaller than 800 square feet. I think that might be more reasonable, and it might be a little bit more what we're trying to do, because I hear the concern. The concern is I got a 2,000 square foot home. I don't want a 500 square foot home being built next to me. But if you had a 2,000 square foot home, somebody built a 1,600 square foot home, probably you wouldn't have an issue, right? So maybe it would be a percentage based on surrounding homes rather than an actual number. But let's explore the laws first, because that would be, we don't want to put something in the LDRs that's illegal, Okay, so just based on a percentage possibly of other properties that are nearby within a given radius, right?
What I'm seeing is if you wanted to try to default to use Fannie, Freddie, Ginnie as guidelines, you'd be disappointed with the 400 number I'm seeing.
Oh yeah, well the 400 is just,
That's minimum square footage to get approved for a loan through those entities. But if we wanted to use that argument,
oh, did you say 700 earlier or 400?
because some lenders,
Yeah.
for example, the mortgage company I used to work for,
Yeah.
well, we originated loans for all those entities, but we didn't want to touch anything less than 700.
I see.
So we had what's called a lender overlay.
Yeah.
Yeah, find a way to get to Fannie, Freddie, Ginnie direct, but you're not going to do it through me.
Yeah.
And you run into that. Some of the big entities, like say Wells, Bank of America, I don't know what their policies are, and again, that only matters if any future buyers are going to seek liens, if they want to be able to buy a property with a mortgage on it. For a cash buyer, doesn't matter.
All right, very good.
I'm not really for telling people what they can do on their own land, but you
Right.
don't want them hurting other
Harming their
people.
neighbor,
Right.
yeah. And in fact, the LDRs, when we rewrote those a couple of years ago,
Right.
that was sort of the doctrine. The doctrine
Right.
was don't hurt your neighbor,
Right.
whether it's flooding your neighbor because you just built a hill in your yard that, or whatever. Okay, very good. So let's do that. So we'll explore the personal property rights first to make sure we're not stepping in any laws that the state has already established for us. And then we'll come back with some recommendations for next month.
If anyone knows an appraiser that we can have in this powwow,
Yeah.
they'll be able to tell us if they can make adjustments to value then it's not our problem. We don't have to police it more or
Yeah.
less, because it's all going to happen in the math when a property appraises or doesn't appraise. So it may all happen in those adjustments to value, because it does now. And contrarily, if my little 2,200 square feet, if someone wants to build 3,000 next to me, hallelujah.
Yeah.
And that the old mantra, never buy the best house in a neighborhood, always buy the worst or the
Yeah, I'd be
cheapest.
more concerned with let's get 5 houses on this piece of,
Oh,
this
yeah.
acre,
Right.
and it's sitting next door to mine. I'm going,
Correct.
ooh.
Yeah.
That's the luck of the draw.
that's happened
I've been next
before,
to
yeah.
some of those neighbors
Yeah.
before that just didn't take care of their homes. That's the luck of the draw.
And Mr. Ring, I got 2 more to throw at you.
Please.
So one is, we want to look at the temporary RV and mobile home permit.
Temporary, okay.
We want to look at possibly removing the mobile home park and just put mobile office.
Temporary RV and mobile home, okay.
Yeah, because reading the permit, and as we were having a few of these come in, The permit actually states that it's allowable in the LDR for someone to move in a mobile home for 12 months on their property. And
While building is going on?
why building or to have a family blood relative live in it?
Oh, goodness.
So it's kind of a real, we read the rule, and we read the listing, and the very first thing says that a blood relative can live in a temporary mobile home on your property for 12 months.
Rent-free.
Ooh.
Yeah.
We've had that next door too, so.
So you want to see about possibly removing the mobile home and leave mobile office for contractors and development. You know, most people that are building right now in the houses are using RVs.
I think the concept of that was that those mobile homes would be like construction offices.
I understand, but it doesn't say any
Yeah.
of that in the
Yeah,
verbiage. So that's
Okay.
just something for you to look at.
temporary
And then the other
RV.
thing I was gonna throw at you is we've had some contractors ask y'all to look at the MU square footage, because it says 5,000 in square footage, and they're wanting you to look at, because even we've talked with the engineers also, that there's nothing in the MU square footage that addresses townhomes. So the developers that are looking to build townhomes would like you to look at that 5,000 square footage, because most of the other cities are anywhere between 2,800 and 3,500 addressing townhomes.
Well, the 5,000 was the minimum size for, and the whole concept there was you've got 43,560 square feet in an acre, and your smallest lot actually in a residential area is probably going to be closer to a 20th of an acre, which is going to be about 8,500, 8,800 square feet, and
This
then
is mainly
M-
MUs.
MU and then MUs was dropped to 5,000 because we didn't want to get into a situation like they've got out in, Panama City Beach, where you had multiple,
Well, what we have here is like we have one development that's already here, that's already established, and he can't build exactly what's already there on
Yeah.
the same parcel that's there because of our restrictions.
yeah.
And so he's just asking that, we already have these structures. It's just something for y'all to look at. If it is what it is. But I just thought about bring it to the anchor would like to have it townhome specifically called out so that they have the thing that says this is what it is, but it doesn't really say townhomes on that building.
Well, what it does say in MU1 though is, the minimum lot size has got to be 5,000 square feet. But it does say that you can put no more than 15 dwellings into an acre of land in that MU1 area. That was designed intentionally in order to prevent overcrowding.
Understand?
And-
Like I said, I told him I'd bring it to you to have a conversation, because like I said, we have a complex on Tunda Parkway that
Okay.
has a chunk of land, and they're trying to copy what's already there.
Yeah, but, our
And I
city only
understand
became
that
incorporated.
The other hurdle, as I told them, is what's there doesn't have stormwater.
Right.
What's there doesn't have retention ponds.
Right.
So that changes the thing too. But I did tell them that I would address it for y'all to look at. Y'all
Okay.
look at it, y'all decide on
Yeah.
it.
I mean, at the end of the day, our town didn't become a town until 1967, and there's a lot of homes that were built before any rules got into place. And the rules were designed in order to protect your neighbor and to prevent flooding, and in order to create a vision of what the city could eventually look like. Okay, we'll do it though. So I'll just ask everybody to review, take a look at the MU1. Specifically, he wanted MU1, right?
I think MU1 and 2 are both 5,000.
Okay, so MU1 and 2, MU1, and just kind of think about, is that outdated? Does it need to be updated for certain reasons? So that would be that's the minimum lot size in order to build a dwelling.
And
Start with a dwelling.
I just asked y'all to take a ride down Tunda Parkway. The left-hand side of Tunda Parkway is going to get built. As soon as this water line comes down, that side's going to develop. So that's what a lot of these developers were calling about is how many townhouses can they get in those lots on that left-hand side.
You're talking about driving towards Tyndall. So that's not the Callaway side, or I guess
That's
it's
us.
No,
us, the
It
Parker
turns
side.
us right there at the Quality Inn. From
Got it.
Quality Inn all the way down, all the woods and everything down there belongs to Parker.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Tony, appreciate it. Terry, thank you again for driving the gavel last month. Really do appreciate it. Anything you want to share with the group?
Did we need to approve last week's minutes? or
Oh,
was
They're
that
not
statement
ready.
like
Thank you
that?
for
No,
We're-
okay.
we're gonna do
the
that,
apostrophe on my side.
All right.
Anything, Terry? Yeah, what we'll do is, we're a little shorthanded at the city right now, so we'll probably review the minutes for both meetings, perhaps next month. And anything for the group? Thank you very much for that information on banking and Fannie and Freddie stuff. That was
She's
very
coming in
interesting.
It was very interesting.
Don,
It's
anything?
small though, so I was disappointed to see the number is only 400. So FHA, VA, and conventional,
Yeah.
400.
It's got to be a minimum 400?
Minimum
Isn't
400.
it interesting?
And
Because-
again, the only reason that some lenders
Yeah.
that originate those loans want something larger, because occasionally
Yeah.
we have to buy back
Yeah.
from those entities if something underperforms.
Yeah.
So a lender can have what's called an overlay to protect themselves.
Yeah.
And so the consumer knows, I want that, but they can't get to it because they've got to go through someone. They can't go straight to those entities. But anyway, it's just a guideline.
Very good. Anything else you want to share with the group, Ann, or? No?
That's been good.
Donna, anything you want to tell us that we need to know? Okay. Rich, thank you for volunteering. So essentially what we're going to do is Rich is going to come up with some loose language around, this issue regarding current de minimis property. I'll share my notes with you. And then we're going to think about the language that's currently utilized in the temporary RV and mobile home parks, which allow them to be in place for up to a year. What's the term we use for blood relatives? Sanguinity? Sanguinity. They have to be the same sanguinity, which means direct blood relative. So we'll look at that, and then also we'll look at the MU1 and MU2 5,000 square foot minimum lot size. See if that needs to be updated in some way. Okay?
I would think that on the RV issue, the one concern we had about a neighbor that was doing that, where was the sewage going? And if they're tied in straight to Parker, they're not being charged.
Yes, they are.
They are.
And so if.
So
if
they
RV
do-
perm- If RV perm comes in and they're hooked up to city water,
Okay,
then that city water is being charged city sewer.
okay.
And also the permit makes them be considered 2 units, so they're actually getting 2 base rates while they have the RV there.
And the one I've seen that was in my neighborhood that is now gone, wasn't hooked up to anything but a garden hose. So,
And that would be a code issue for sure.
there we go. So that might address some of it, but if they've gone through the motions to put everything else in place, then,
Yeah.
okay.
Code issue only during emergencies is something like that allowed.
Got it.
Very good. Everybody, thank you again. Rich, I'll share my notes with you. We'll close the meeting. Appreciate it.